The dreams began so quietly that almost no one noticed. On one distant world, a young alien woke up crying. She told her parents about a beautiful city made of white towers and green rivers. Strange birds flew between the buildings, and a warm golden sky never became dark. Her parents thought it was only a dream. The next morning, another child on a different planet described the exact same place. Within weeks, thousands of alien children across the galaxy reported identical dreams. The details never changed. A wide bridge crossed a shining river. Tall trees grew beside crystal streets. At the center of the city stood one enormous tree whose branches touched the clouds. And always, at the end of the dream, a human voice spoke the same words. "When the stars grow quiet, come home." The mystery spread faster than any disease. Scientists examined the children. Doctors searched for hidden signals. Psychologists blamed imagination. Nothing explained why children from hundreds of different species, who had never met humans, dreamed about the same impossible city. On Earth, the story reached Professor Daniel Mercer, a historian who studied forgotten human myths instead of space travel. At first, he laughed at the reports. Then he saw one child's drawing. His smile disappeared. The bridge, the great tree, even the shape of the streets. They matched symbols carved into a stone tablet discovered beneath. Antarctica nearly 80 years earlier. The tablet was older than human civilization. No one had ever understood its meaning. Daniel traveled to the underground museum where the artifact was stored. When he placed the child's drawing beside the ancient carving, every line matched perfectly. Not almost. Perfectly. The museum light suddenly flickered. The stone tablet, silent for decades, began to glow with a soft blue light. Letters slowly appeared across its surface. They were written in no known human language. Yet Daniel somehow understood every word. The children have remembered. At that exact moment, millions of alien children across the galaxy opened their eyes at the same time. For the first time, they did not dream of the mysterious city. They all dreamed of Earth, and in every dream, the city was waiting for them. Professor Daniel Mercer stood frozen before the glowing stone tablet. The message slowly disappeared, but the blue light remained. Museum cameras stopped recording. Every clock inside the building froze for exactly 1 minute. When time moved again, nothing looked different. Except the tablet. A new carving had appeared. It showed children from many alien species standing together beneath the giant tree from the dream. Beside them stood one human child, but the face had been left blank, as if it had not been chosen yet. At the same time, reports arrived from every corner of the galaxy. The dreams had changed. The children were no longer only watching the mysterious city. Now they were exploring it. Every child remembered different streets, different gardens, and different buildings. When scientists combined thousands of their drawings, they formed one complete map. The impossible city was becoming real on paper. An alien teacher noticed something even stranger. One student drew a building that no one else had seen before. Inside it was a circular room with 6 empty chairs. 3 days later, another child on a world thousands of light years away drew the exact same room from a different angle. Neither child had ever left home. Neither knew the other existed. Yet together they completed one picture. Daniel compared every drawing with the ancient tablet. The streets matched. The rivers matched. Even the smallest symbols appeared in the same places. It was as if the children were remembering a place instead of imagining it. Then Earth received an unexpected visitor. A small diplomatic ship landed peacefully outside the museum. Its passengers were not soldiers or politicians. They were 20 alien children from 20 different civilizations. Each child carried a notebook. Without speaking to one another, they walked into separate rooms and began drawing. Hours later, the adults compared the pages. Every notebook showed another piece of the same city. When the pages were placed together, something unexpected appeared at the very center of the map. Not a palace. Not a temple. A doorway. Below it, written in every known language at once, were 4 simple words. Only children can open it. Daniel looked toward the glowing tablet. Before anyone could react, the museum floor began to shake gently. Something deep beneath Antarctica had just answered the map. The shaking lasted only a few seconds. Then everything became quiet again. Far below the ice of Antarctica, powerful sensors detected movement. It was not an earthquake. Something enormous had awakened beneath the frozen ground. Governments from across Earth quickly sent research teams. Professor Daniel Mercer traveled with them along with the 20 alien children. Many leaders questioned the decision. Why bring children to an unknown place, they asked. Daniel gave the same answer every time. Because whatever is calling, it is calling them, not us. After 2 days of travel, the team reached a deep valley surrounded by ancient ice walls. Nothing appeared on the surface. Only endless snow. One of the youngest children, a small blue-skinned girl named Leary, quietly stepped forward. I know where the door is, she whispered. No one had shown her a map, yet she walked across the snow without hesitation. She stopped in the middle of the valley and gently placed her hand on the ice. A soft sound echoed below. The frozen ground cracked, not with violence, but with perfect smooth lines. The ice slowly separated, revealing a staircase made of glowing white stone. Warm air rose from below. Flowers began growing along the edges of the opening, even though the temperature was far below freezing. The scientists stared in disbelief. No machine had caused this. The children walked down first. At the bottom, they found a city exactly like the one from their dreams. The white towers, the shining river, the giant tree reaching toward the ceiling of an underground sky. But the city was empty. There were no people, no machines, no signs of destruction. It looked as if everyone had simply left a few minutes earlier. Then the children began smiling. We know this place, several of them said together. They ran through the streets without getting lost, turning corners before anyone else knew where they led. Daniel realized something impossible. They were not exploring, they were remembering. As the group reached the giant tree at the center of the city, its golden leaves began to glow. A single leaf floated down into Leary's hands. The moment she touched it, a calm voice echoed through every street. The keepers have returned. Daniel looked around in confusion. The voice had not spoken to the children. It had spoken about them. The golden leaf glowed softly in Leary's hands. The giant tree began to move. Not because of wind. Its branches slowly reached across the city, touching old buildings, empty bridges, and quiet gardens. Wherever a branch passed, lights came back to life. Small streams began flowing again. Flowers opened as if they had only been sleeping. The city was waking up. The children watched with wonder. The adults watched with caution. Professor Daniel Mercer stepped closer to the great tree. Who are the keepers? He asked. The calm voice answered from every direction. Those who remember before they are taught. A circle of light appeared around the children. One by one, each child saw a different memory. Leary saw herself planting glowing flowers beside the river. Another child remembered feeding bright birds that no longer existed. A young human boy who had joined the expedition remembered climbing the giant tree and laughing with children from worlds that had not yet been discovered. These were not dreams. They were memories, but they could not belong to the children. The city was older than every known civilization. Daniel examined the walls around the tree. Thousands of names were carved into the white stone. None belonged to kings, soldiers, or famous leaders. Every name belonged to a child. Then he understood. This city had never been ruled by adults. Long ago, every advanced civilization had chosen one child to become a keeper. They visited this place only once in their lives, learned kindness, patience, and trust, then returned home carrying those values into the future. The city had quietly helped shape peaceful civilizations for millions of years. But something had interrupted that tradition. The voice became quieter. The last gathering never happened. For 12,000 years, no keepers came. Suddenly, several branches of the great tree turned black. Their leaves fell to the ground and disappeared into dust. The city lights began to fade once more. A new message appeared in glowing letters above the tree. Memory is fading. The first keeper is forgetting. No one knew who the first keeper was. No one knew where they were. But if the oldest memory disappeared, the city itself would vanish forever. The glowing words stayed above the great tree. The first keeper is forgetting. The city grew quieter. The rivers flowed more slowly. The golden lights inside the buildings became dim. Even the birds disappeared into the bright sky without making a sound. It felt as if the entire city was waiting for someone. Professor Daniel Mercer looked at the children. Can the city tell us where the first keeper is? The ancient voice answered at once. It can show the path. The giant tree lowered one glowing branch toward the ground. Its roots gently moved aside, revealing a narrow passage hidden beneath the city. The group followed the tunnel until they reached a round chamber unlike any other. There was no furniture, no machines, only one clear crystal floating above the floor. Inside the crystal slept a small child. The child looked about 10 years old. No one could tell if the child was human or alien. The face changed slightly every time someone looked away, reflecting features from many different species. Leary stepped forward. "He looks lonely." The voice echoed through the chamber. "He has been waiting alone for 12,000 years. Daniel stared at the crystal in disbelief. "Is this the first keeper?" "Yes, but he never grew older. Time does not pass for the keeper while the city sleeps." The crystal slowly became transparent. The sleeping child opened gentle silver eyes. He looked around the room with confusion. "Did everyone make it home?" he asked softly. No one answered. He smiled anyway. "I knew they would come back someday." Daniel's heart sank. The first keeper had no idea that thousands of years had passed. He still believed his friends had left only yesterday. Then the child looked directly at the 20 young visitors. "You remembered the way." One by one the children nodded. The first keeper smiled with quiet relief. "I cannot protect the city anymore. But I don't have to." He reached out his hand. Instead of choosing one new keeper, he touched the floor. 21 small lights appeared, one for every child in the chamber. The city had made a different choice. It would never again trust its future to a single child. Its memory would now live in many hearts. Just then the ground trembled. A distant sound echoed above Antarctica. Someone from outside had discovered the hidden city. The quiet city shook as a deep sound echoed through the ancient halls. The adults feared the worst. Had an army found the hidden place? Professor Daniel Mercer quickly checked the surface cameras. What he saw surprised everyone. There were no warships, no soldiers. Thousands of people had gathered on the Antarctic ice. Humans stood beside aliens from every corner of the galaxy. They carried no weapons. They simply waited, looking toward the hidden city. News of the impossible dreams had reached every world. Parents had followed their children to Earth, hoping to understand the mystery. Back inside the city, the first keeper smiled. They came together. The great tree suddenly covered itself with bright golden leaves. Every branch stretched toward the ceiling. A warm light filled every street, every bridge, and every empty home. The ancient voice spoke one final time. For millions of years, this city remained hidden. It was never built as a capital. It was never built as a fortress. It was built as the first classroom. Images appeared across the sky above the city. Long ago, when young civilizations first reached space, fear often led to war. So an ancient group of travelers created this hidden place. Instead of teaching children science or technology, they taught something greater: how to listen, how to forgive, how to protect strangers. Only after learning those lessons would a civilization truly be ready for the stars. The first keeper looked at Daniel. "Adults protect the present. Children protect the future." With a gentle smile, he touched the giant tree one last time. His body became thousands of tiny lights that rose into its branches. He did not disappear. He became part of the city's memory forever. At that moment, every alien child across the galaxy woke from the same dream. They no longer saw the hidden city. Instead, they remembered how it felt. Kindness, hope, curiosity. Those memories stayed with them. The hidden city slowly lifted from beneath Antarctica and settled peacefully in Earth orbit, where every civilization could visit when the time was right. From that day on, Earth was known across the galaxy for its greatest achievement, not as the strongest world, not as the richest, but as the world trusted to guard the school where the future of every civilization began.